make a lot of noise. I need you to make so much noise that they wonder in that restaurant what's going on in here and how come they're not in here, okay? Can you do that?
Yes.
Let's go. Friday the 13th. No. Think you can do a little better than that. Ready? Friday the 13th, 2009.
Just bringing this up because this Q&A is gonna be sick.
What's going on, everybody? Hi. Thank you so much for coming out. John was like the best. Real quick story before we get started. I'm gonna tell the story of how the very first day that we met. We were doing on Friday the 13th. We're in Austin, Texas, and the day before we were supposed to film for the first time. Or I was, we had a big get together so everybody can kind of get to know each other and meet. At one point, this guy comes over to me at the bar who has energy through the roof. Like, imagine how mellow it is Someone
right
he's
now.
electric.
How mellow it is right now. I don't know. Dude, hey man, what's going on? I'm Jonathan. And I'm like, oh, hey, Terry. Dude, do you realize you're playing Jason? And I go, yeah, dude, how fucking cool is that, right? Dude,
He didn't realize it. He needed me to tell him.
It's like, dude, we're gonna be friends. I'm like, cool, nice to meet you.
He's like, security.
15 years later, here we are, still friends, scooping around, even when we're not doing cons.
Even when we're not doing cons.
Yeah, that was a crazy time, man. Do you know how long ago it was?
What freaks me out is when people, like when we did that show and I've taken pictures with children, and now they're like 6, 7, like, hey, I met you when I was 2. And you're like,
Great, I'm fucking old.
all I hear is
We
blah,
get it, I'm old.
blah, blah, blah.
You're old.
I don't know if he's made it here yet, but Gabe showed me a picture.
Oh yeah,
that
you
took
recreated a
when
picture.
you were holding him.
Oh, yeah.
Right, because you got to your table again?
Yeah, we recreated the table.
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
What was with that mustache you had? He has this picture, this kid, this guy Gabriel, had a picture from like 10 years ago. He was like 12 years old, and it's Derek holding him up, like under his arms. And he brought that photo, and they recreated it today. So now it's him holding a 22-year-old kid up in the air. But in the picture from 10 years ago, Mr. Mears here had a big mustache. He looked like a French villain. It's totally true. Guys, he looks like one of those guys who's like, like tying a girl in a train tracks.
Oh, dude, yeah,
He's twirling his mustache.
Dude, absolutely. But that was when I didn't have the goatee to go with it. That I had a pointy goatee. Even more like Snidely Whiplash.
I love it.
But the reason that happened was for all my life I've had alopecia and I've never been able to grow hair. Like I don't shave my head. But at one point I started being able to grow facial hair only. And like a lot of my makeup artist friends, I would post pictures of Teen Wolf. Yeah.
That's the biggest flex. You can grow a mustache.
So true. But different like makeup effects were going, dude, who did your mustache? Like that looks real. And I'm like, it is real. Oh, so you're lying about alopecia?
It took me 35 years to grow this.
Do you know how hard it is as a in your like late adult life to ask friends, hey man, how do you shave? Like I never learned to shave. I never like is there a technique? And
I feel like we're running away with this interview from you. But
I'm sorry.
How old were you when you had alopecia your whole life?
Yeah. Well, not my whole life. It started to fall out when I was like 12 years old, and it was alopecia areata. So like little patches of hair would fall out, and that's one of the
Sounds like medulla oblongata. Alopecia areata.
But that's one of the reasons tying into Friday the 13th. When I watched part 4, which is my favorite installment of Friday the 13th, when Corey Feldman was confronting Jason and shaved his head, and it was like, Jason! I remember watching because my hair was in tufts at the time, and that's what my hair looked like. I was like, oh, I'm like a little, like I look like young Jason. Oh, I'm like a different version of Jason. And then as an adult to be able to play Jason,
Manifestation. And that right there, folks, is the power of manifestation.
gentlemen, I would love to know more about you personally and your acting journey. How did this all begin for both of you?
I want to hear Jonathan's talk.
It was the day after Thanksgiving, 1979. My mom was a little Italian lady from the south side of Chicago. So I studied theater in college. I went to the University of Illinois. I got my BFA in theater. Go Illini. I was originally a finance major and then wound up absolutely hating it. And studied theater. I was in the acting conservatory for a couple of years, and I wound up focusing on directing and playwriting. And after I graduated, I moved to LA. I had done an internship at Paramount when I was still in college. And then after I graduated, I literally worked construction for a month in the winter in Chicago. I saved enough money to buy a one-way plane ticket. I flew to LA with a duffel bag and $300. And I started, I was doing the whole bartending thing and waiting tables. And I remember there was one week, I booked the lead of a Fox pilot. I booked the lead of a movie, She's the Man, which was my first movie. And I sold my first screenplay all in the same week. And I was like, afraid to walk outside. I was like, I'm gonna get by a fucking bus or something. I was like, this is too good to be true. And not long after, that was like 2000. I moved to LA in 2002, and not long after that, we worked together. I started booking stuff around 2004, 2005, and then, like 2008 is when we shot in 08. Yeah.
We shot,
Yeah.
Dude, that's phenomenal. Dude, I'm gonna go sit with you guys. Go keep going. I want to know more.
I'm going to give you fine folks some free advice. This is Jonathan Sadowski's life lesson number 1.
Oh boy.
Dive in.
Let me get my
dive
notebook,
in.
my
Whatever you
notebook
do, dive in.
Got it. Yeah.
Go all in. Balls to the wall.
It's true. Yeah, it's crazy. I respect anybody. I love hearing stories because a lot of the artists, are from their respective towns and moved to Hollywood or to New York to follow their dreams. And a lot of times it's that similar story where it's a leap of faith going, I don't have a lot of money, I don't have any connections, I have to do this, I have to. And anybody that takes that it's so terrifying. Even if people succeed or don't, nothing but respect for people who take that risk.
Fun fact, Derek, acting is actually his plan B. He originally wanted to be a professional finger painter.
True.
And it just didn't work out.
Yeah. They're like, oh, you can't do finger paints with blood. I'm like, why not? I'm like, so I had to
Just want to be an actor.
Stupid.
Derek, tell us about yours.
My story is I'm originally from Bakersfield, California. And I started going into, it started in high school where I started doing theater. And at one point we had a field trip to go see something called Comedy Sports, which was an improv comedy show. I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean?
Is that how you got involved with that?
Yeah.
No way,
dude. I was like, what? This sounds stupid. Like, I don't want to. So I went to the show and I went, wait, there's no script. They're doing live comedy and making it up on the spot. It was like a giant magic trick to me. I was blown away. And so at the time, they had a class where they would teach you just to play theater games. That's all that it was. It wasn't like a tier system in like LA or New York, some of the shows where you keep going and then you can be on a team. But I took the classes just to learn the games. I had so much fun. And the owner was like, hey, we want to offer you a spot as a full-time company member. I go, I'm only 17. Everybody else is like in their third, like, what's going on? And they're like, no, we think you're talented. I'm like, what?
And I will vouch, in Los Angeles, I came to see a couple of your improv shows. He's one of the funniest people on the planet.
Oh, you're racist.
Like, I'm not kidding. It's like, you see him playing, like all these creature feat like roles and stunts and stuff like that. He's one of the funniest people on earth, like literally.
It's not true, but thank you very much.
You gotta get the fence on it. Of course I'm lying, Garrett.
But I remember I worked in a pizza parlor for 6 years, and I was like mopping floors and looking at TV going, someday, Papa. So I went to
be on that screen.
went to college for acting. I did all kinds of theater, and I was that kid who was like, do I do my English term paper or do I memorize my lines for Hamlet? Well, no one's gonna know if I don't do my actual paper, but everyone's gonna know if I'm not memorized. So I took the big leap and moved to Los Angeles, and my first big Hollywood audition was for the Universal Studios Wild West Stunt Show. And they took actors and cross-trained them to do stunts, and they took stunt people and cross-trained them to act. And I was an actor, first and foremost, and I also kind of had like, I call it deliverance body, where people are like, oh, you've always been muscular, and I go, no, it's kind of that deliverance, like I could do not even a pull-up, but I'm like, And I'm like, I had like man movies, and I'm like, wait a second, if I worked out, I could be a big bad guy on TV and film. And my background was martial arts, so I started taking every martial art class that I could, and I started making a name doing acting and stunts. But it got to the point where Hollywood doesn't think you can do two different skill sets. And so a lot of times, like, oh, you're a stuntman turn actor, or like, oh, you're a stuntman trying to act. Why are we paying you this when we can pay? So I had to kind of stop doing the stunts, but I still do almost time. And it's just been every day just thankful, man. And the overall lesson for me was, I grew up like thinking I was a different kid, with my hair coming out, like, oh, everyone stares at me, I'm like, okay. But what I didn't realize, once I moved to LA, what I thought was my biggest weakness turned out to be my biggest strength. Like, once I sat in and like, dude, this is how I am. I can't control it. And we're all insecure about, we think we're too tall or too short or too wide or something's wrong with our aesthetically, that we're not happy. We're all insecure like that. But once you own that and step on that gas pedal, it all works out how it's supposed to. And I'm very thankful to this day. And Summer and I actually originally met because she's from Bakersfield as well. And she was like,
They used to cook meth together.
You know what? If you know anything about Bakersfield, that could be fact.
that could be a fact. But yeah.
It's a very big meth town.
Yeah.
But Summer would come, she reminded me, she goes, when I was a kid, I would come and watch you perform comedy sports. And then we reconnected to doing these Days of the Dead shows. And I'm like, wait a second, what? And I talked about the show going, I was a child and so were you, and you remember, wow!
Yeah.
Weird full circle.
And someone corrected me, I thought it was Rusty's Pizza, it was Lamppost.
Because I worked at Lamppost too.
I was wrong, it was not Rusty's, it was Lamppost.
Yeah.
You know, so, yeah, it was like, he was my hometown hero growing up. You and the ballerina, because I'm a ballerina, Tyler Peck, New York City Ballet from Bakersfield, right?
I didn't know that.
I don't know that either for a long time, but yeah, you two are like my hometown heroes.
Oh, that's so nice, thank you.
Yeah. That leads me to my next question. Obviously, you were a great inspiration to me growing up as a young performer. Who inspired you guys when you were just starting out?
Great question. This ties into actually what Derek just said, because I honestly, I truly believe that comedians are the best actors. Got to make them laugh before you make them cry. And I got to say Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Like, I think when you watch his dramatic work, and then you also watch what he does on the comedic side of things, I mean, he really can hit every color on the spectrum. And I think what I strive for specifically, I would never try to be Robin Williams, there's only one Robin Williams, but I think trying to emulate what he did in regards to versatility, I think the best actors are the most versatile actors. So I think being able to play any role and being able to do it convincingly, I always said one of the best compliments I've ever got was when someone tells me, oh, I didn't realize that was you in that movie. And I was like, that literally, that makes me, I got goosebumps right now, because I'm like, that's my job. Like, I'm Jonathan right now, but if you see me in something and you didn't even recognize me from a different role, that's the best compliment you can pay me.
Dude, I say that all the time. The best when someone comes to my table and, wait a second, I didn't know that was you. And then they feel bad. I'm like, no, that is the best
is a good
compliment.
thing,
Like,
yeah.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Mine's a little kind of out there a little bit, where I've never, when people go like, who do you look up to, or who do you respect as an actor?
It's me.
Besides Johnny, I really, the category was, it's not really an actor. What early on in my career, and still inspires me to this day, is a musician named Mike Patton. He's like the lead singer of Faith No More, Mr. Bungle.
Oh, yeah.
All kinds of stuff. And the reason that I like him so much, or am inspired by him, is because I read an article once and we talked about just creation in general and what your own art is to express yourself, where he would break boundaries going like, why color in the lines? Like, what do you want to do? Like, as long as it's real to you and like express, it can be crazy, batshit or whatever, like it doesn't matter as long as it fits with you and it's coming from you and it's truthful. And I was like, oh my God, so all my things I do are always inspired by that. And it's crazy because we have mutual friends, and friends are like, oh dude, you want to meet Mike? I can say, no. I can't ever meet him because if I do, and he turns out to be a douchebag, it will crush me.
Yes.
It will crush me. And I love all of his music.
That's always a dangerous game when you get to meet your heroes. I use that term very loosely because, hero worship is kind of freaky. But I was nervous about meeting him at a con as an adult because I'm like, buddy, he's an asshole. My whole childhood.
He is actually
ruined.
Derek is the sweetest guy.
Luckily, that is true.
I love telling this story. So we were shooting.
Can someone bring a baby up? Because I will punch it in the face.
You will punch that thing.
You're serious.
Ruin your street
So
career.
when we were shooting, and it was my death scene we were shooting in Friday the 13th. And so there's this part where I'm basically looking on the ground, I find this weed, and I see these two shoes, and I look up, and it's Jason. And then I he chases me, I backpedal, I hit this tree, and then he chops my fucking head off. When I did this, I didn't have any back padding on. I just realized there's young kids here, and I'm swearing like a sailor. So I fall into this tree, and I slide down and scrape my entire back, because it was like the bark of the tree. And I literally slide down this tree, and I'm like, oh! And Derek is there, he has his mask on and everything. He pulls his mask off, he's dressed as Jason, he's like, oh my God, are you okay? He's like, can we get a medic? Can we get him some back pads? I was literally, I was like, you're the sweetest Jason Voorhees.
Yeah, I don't know, whatever.
Well, were you already a stunt and doing stunts when you got that role?
Yeah.
So you know about safety then, and...
Oh, it's all in background. That's what they get. Put it back on that. Suit him up this way to
You're
make
like,
sure.
why isn't he padded up?
Yeah, it's respect, man. We all work together. No need to get hurt. A lot of the stuff on the show, it's a dramatic dance. And so you make sure you're committed to it.
It's choreographed. It's
Yeah.
choreography to ballet, essentially, right?
Yeah, exactly. What's cool also, again, there's no right or wrong way to approach a role because we all approach it differently and have different techniques. But early on, when I did Friday, people kept asking me did you stay with you stayed away from the cast and crew? No, because a lot of times when that happens, they'll become afraid of you. And when you're doing this elaborate dance, they're already heightened already, and if they make an error, someone's gonna get hurt. And I go, my mentality is, we're all professional actors, and we can be friends and hang out, and when it's time to do the scene, we're gonna be professional and go to that emotional spot and make it real. There's no reason to hurt anybody, because if you can't do it, you don't belong there.
Yeah, I've actually worked with people in the past, other actors, who have to stay in this mindset the entire time, that they're in this role. I'm like, just fucking act it. It's not real. And I get it. I'm just saying, me personally, flip it on. It's to me, it's like a light switch. Like you said, there's different, psychological and emotional techniques they teach you in theater school and stuff like that to kind of get you to a deeper level and kind of drop into that character. But yeah, that's what I love about it too. I mean, it's I get to be Jonathan and hang out with this guy and have lunch and stuff like that. And the minute they say roll camera and action, I am not Jonathan anymore. I am a different person,
Murder.
Yeah.
I've never told the story. It's not a negative story, but it's about the very first time I got my SAG card in the very first movie I did. I was so new. My background was all theater. I didn't know hardly anything about TV and film. I did this movie. It's called Hurricane Festival, and it was a kind of a mice and men road trip type movie, crazy meets Midnight Cowboy. Nuts. But I kind of played the Lenny type character. Yeah, it was messed up. But I was super stoked because my friend now, Andros Jones, was in it, and me being a huge horror fan going, oh my God, that's the cool white guy from the Nightmare Before. What? No way. Oh my God, this is a professional job. So we had a big meeting with cast and crew, and we're at this table talking about the things, and we're going to go on location. And at one point, Andros stands up and goes, hey guys, I just want to let you guys know, when we're on the road, because most of the scenes take place in this traveling bus that we're in, kind of a hippie type bus, he goes, no need to get me a hotel room because my character would sleep on the bus, and I'm just going to go ahead and sleep on the bus. And everyone's like, oh, okay, cool, that sounds great. And Derek, who is new to the entire industry, everything in Derek's world is improv and bits. Derek goes, and they continue and I go, really quick. Oh, Derek, yeah, I just want to say something too. Hey, similar, when we're on the road and we're supposed to be in the bus, at night, I'm going to take a hotel room, if that's okay. And in the morning when we're on set, I'm going to act like I slept on the bus. And they're like, ah! And Andros just looks at me like he's going to murder me. I'm like, yeah! And he's like, oh no, this is inappropriate for what I just did. I had no idea. I thought he was going to kill me.
Yeah,
But since we're friends, everything was great. Me fucking up.
You can pretty much guarantee that whenever Derek and I are in a very serious situation, we're probably going to crack a little jokey joke. Just in our personalities.
True. This is our relationship, by the way, with Jonathan and I. With him early on going, we're going to be friends. Randomly from time, I get calls like this. Sadowski, all right, what? Hey man, what's going on? I'm in Vegas. We're playing
This is a true story.
Guess what number I just put money on? Shakespeare 13. Give me a bite.
Okay, first off, I had been drinking. And it literally didn't. Was it like afterwards? You're like, who is that? And you're like, it's Sadowski. He's having a lot of fun in Vegas.
So fun.
I love it.
Now, can I just side note on your Andros story?
Yeah.
You were a guest on his podcast,
Yes.
Radio 8 years ago.
Years ago, yeah.
Fun episode, check it out. The back episodes I think are still on Apple and Spotify. I could be wrong.
I don't know.
It was a while ago.
Yeah,
But
I know.
that was a fun episode.
Yeah, he's so nice, man. Like, again, I apologize, man. I'm so sorry. I was so new. And people come over, oh, I'm so, I'm your DP. And I'm like, don't know what that means. Like, AD? What's an AD?
Yeah.
Assistant director? Oh, cool.
You learn all this stuff out.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Do we have any audience questions? Come on, don't be shy. I know you gotta.
My question is for the panel. Why are you guys having more fun than all of us?
Me and Derek actually were going to come in here. We were like discussing this at our tables. And we are going to come in like this and talk to you guys like this and make it seem like, this. Every time we are on set, it's always act.
Hey, Bakersfield.
Well, I don't know. I just want to have a good time. Just trying to make it the There is a southern, and not dissing Bakersfield, it's just a fact, like not being mean, like it's my hometown, I wouldn't change. But it's weird because in Southern California, in this town, there is a southern accent.
Yeah.
And that's why when I went and started traveling the world, when I go to the actual South, I'm like, why do you guys sound like you're from Bakersfield? And I was like, oh, but I found out it's because of the Dust Bowl, when all the migration happened, like the Great Sarath and whatnot. When they stayed there, that accent stayed there.
My grandparents migrated from Oklahoma. And my dad didn't have the accent, but my grandma did, and every time I came home, I was talking like this. and I still do. When I get really tired, it comes out and it freaks people out. They're like, oh, what?
So we'll close with this one last story, which I always tell people.
Oh, we got time.
Oh, we do. So
Yeah.
I always tell the story, and this will give you another example of what my relationship with Derek is like. So we're in Austin, Texas, at a little town called Bastrop, which is like 45 minutes an hour outside of Austin, and we are in the boondocks. Like now Bastrop's like kind of a layup, but back then it was nothing.
Yeah.
So we get driven from our hotel to this, like the woods, like the forest, like a little base camp. And then we get in these minivans and they drive us deep into the woods and like the clearing that we actually shot, where we shot. And so then they drop you off and it's this long road, probably 50 yards, 60 yards, 70 yards. It's long. And it's pitch black. And then we get to the opening where the cameras are going to work. Well, Jonathan had used the bathroom. And the only way to go to the bathroom is you have to walk all the way back down this road to where the porta potties are. And it's like 3 a.m, pitch black, in the middle of the woods. So I'm like, hey, anybody else have to go to the bathroom? I didn't want to walk. I was like scared. Everybody's like, no, we're good. And I was like, God damn it, I gotta walk myself.
So, when we go my side, like,
oh yeah, so then I head off down this road.
So we're sitting there at the monitors with the the chairs, and there's different monitor setups so you can watch the scenes and whatnot. And one of our producers, the toothpick in his mouth, goes like, somebody needs to go scare that guy. Everyone's dead tired, that's full Jason outfit. I'm like, on it. And he's like, no, dude, like you're in full gear. I go, I know.
So, I'm like walking, there's like noises. I go to the porta potty, do my business. I'm coming back out, and I am on like pins and needles. It's like scary. I don't know if you've ever been in the woods at night with no flashlight. Horrifying. So I start walking down this road again, and I'm like, you know what? I go, it's fine. The minute I say that, Jason Voorhees jumps out from behind a tree in full Jason gear, and I literally scream like bloody murder.
Can I do you
Please,
Can I do this? So this is what happened. I went, I can't be there because he's going to expect it. What about this far? He'll probably drop his guard. Okay, so I'm making noise. It's got to be something weird because it can't be like, because then you know it's someone else. So when I went, I just hissed. I jumped and went, Jonathan does this. I went, oh fuck, I didn't scare him. I didn't scare him. Like, no, dude, no. It's that point of being flight and fight. I didn't know if I was gonna run or punch you in your freaking face.
It's like it was fight or flight, and I chose to dance.
So funny, man. I think it was the same night also at the end, like I made you guys all, it was such a long drive back to the hotel. I'm explaining part 6 to the entire cast of Friday because we're all in the same band together. Because part 6 is when Alice Cooper plays man behind the back. Here, hold on, plug this in the radio. Everyone is literally like trying to stay on. I'm like, so this is Alice Cooper, and the man, they did an MTV thing where and he's like,
now mind you, this is after like a 17-hour game.
Yeah.
Where it's like, we're all just like, shut the fuck up!
Like, oh yeah, cool. No, it's longer. Hold on, listen. So fun. That's also, did I tell you the story also the one time? Like, I try to tell stories because I love coming to these shows and hearing older actors' stories. So if I talk too much, let me know. But at one point, when we were filming, I'm not sure if you knew this, there was a Boy Scout convention that was happening at the next campsite over. And there was like hundreds of kids doing this big Boy Scout thing. And Brad and Drew, our producers, were like, oh man, like somebody, you should go over there and scare all those kids, like open the auditorium, there's like 500 kids, and just scare them and freak them out. And they're like, and I go, nah man, that's not cool. That's not how you do it. He's like, what do you mean? I go, what you do is you go and wait by the bathrooms. So when one kid comes out, you scare that one kid dressed as Jason. He runs back in and tells everybody else there's Jason Voorhees in the wood. All those people think he's a crazy person and he's scarred for life. and then Drew goes, you're fucked up. That's fucked up, dude. That's fucked up.
Super dark. Everything all right at home here?
Okay, so one of the reasons you're one of my favorite Jasons is the way...
Oh, don't tell him that. Don't tell him. His head is...
Sorry, go on.
It's the way that you move when you kill people. And I think...
His head is... Sorry, go on.
It's the way that you move when you kill people. And I think of like the cold open to the movie, which essentially plays like a great short film in itself. Which essentially plays like a great short film in itself, and the way that you killed the last character in that cold open before it went to the title card, the way you like moved and you kept your momentum going forward while turning your body and swinging. And I was just wondering, like, was that process, was it storyboarded, or was it just, did you come up with that, or how did
First of all, I love you for saying that. Thank you for picking up on that. It was so funny.
That was a big thing. We actually talked about this and like how he crafted that character. He wanted to make him more human and more movement based.
Yeah, and I kept saying like Marcus for that action. It's so funny. The director for that shot, he goes, Jerry, you're doing this thing. He goes, oh, would you come over? This is not his accent. I always do this for some reason. It's not even German. So you're doing this thing. I want you to come here, lift it this way, and come down like this. And I go, yeah, but no. And I go, it has to be an emotional release. It has to be like a shaking. So everything has to, you have to have that emotional energy because Jason's tide of love just got crushed. So it's almost like you just kicked like someone, like, imagine you kicking your child or your dog in the face. And we all have that emotional keyboard. So that energy builds up and it has to be released. And I go, when you're doing this, I go, if you're just doing the arm, that's only so much strength. I go, but if it's here and if you're relaxed, it's your whole body to come through that energy. That's what you do. And he's like, you thought about this quite a bit. You just do your thing. And it turned out to be the big thing of the trailer that showed everywhere. I went, ah! So I kept going, like, you want that energy to keep going.
Yep.
That way you think when you cut, that energy stuck on and it stops, but it's going to go through them.
It's also, like I told people this too, like the way you built up to that crescendo at the end of that, like the audience is now shot with a rocket. Like they're like, what the hell just happened? And it's so good. We talked about, we talk about acting and stuff like that. It's like the little choices you make, and just his kinesiology and the kinetic energy he brought to the character had never been done before. I mean, personally, I hated it, but I'm kidding.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. Is there any more? Please, fire away.
Thank you for coming out and meeting with the fans here at these conventions. I wonder if you had a story about meeting a particular fan that is memorable to either of you?
Can I? Yes, 100. Can I tell you a really, really quick?
Yeah.
Everybody here, that just happened at the con I was at before this. Phenomenal story. Also, thank you, but also thank you guys for coming out because Jonathan and I, we all have skills in different areas. We just tell stories, and so we get fueled by you and going, there's no hierarchy. We just want to make people happy, so thank you for coming out and the kind words. But I was at this last con in Carolina, and I'm getting emotional. This guy standing there in line, there's a line of people, and he's not pandering at all, but we're getting to know each other, and he's like, yeah, because I really enjoy what you do, and I really respect it. I always wanted to be an actor, but it's my time for it's past. He goes, my background, he goes, I was a Marine for 8 years, and that was my life. He goes, since then I've gotten out, I have two older girls, and I had to take a job just to survive and take care of my kids, and now I have 2 young boys, and I'll never be able to do that dream, and I've always wanted to, and I just don't have time, and there's no way to do it. He goes, I would even just kill to be an extra in a horror movie or a movie in general. And he's being so sincere. And my wife and I, as artists, we kept going, it's never too late to create. We all have different strengths and weaknesses. No, it can work out. But also, what you had said before, Jonathan, about putting that, asking the universe, or putting that intention out there. I go, we were to have this long conversation with, you have to put that intention out there so people don't know, or the universe doesn't know unless you ask for it. Right then, out of the corner of my eye, a guy steps forward and goes, hi, my name's Star Jones. He goes, I'm a makeup artist, and I also am a producer here in Carolina, and I make horror movies and whatnot. He goes, when you're done here, come talk to me at my table. We're gonna make that dream a reality. And I was like, and the guy looks at me, and I go, dude, I just did a Japanese-produced movie with Star. And I'm like, he's legit. And he's like, you look to my wife, and like, what? And this Marine starts to tear up. Like, he's like, what? He goes, are you? And I go, it's legit, dude. I go, you just saw instant gratification. You ask the universe right now, or whatever you believe, doesn't matter, and it answers you. It's gonna happen. And so, what tore me up.
And that guy is Brad Pitt.
He came back the next day and had a long, he goes, I've never been so inspired before. And the only other time I had been inspired in my life, he goes, when I was going to Marines, he goes, to be a Marine, you're not officially a Marine until you get a black, a black pin that is the Marine symbol. He goes, that's when you make it through camp, whatever. This is when you're officially Marine. It's the most, he goes, I want you to know the weight of what this means to me. And he goes, he pulls out the pen, he goes, I have a new focus in life. And he goes, I want you to have this. And I go, sir, please. I go, he goes, please. And there was such, I'm tearing up. It was so sincere. I'm like, I will never forget this, sir. And he gave it to me. And I go, sir, this is the reason I come out to these shows. Like, we're all horror fans. We're here to love horror. but this moment for what you just did, and everyone, all the other horror fans of mine, no one was complaining, everyone was just watching this whole thing go down, and we're all like, what the hell? Just beautiful.
To piggyback on his sentiment,
Please.
You guys are the best. And I love this. Like, literally. To be able to be a part of one of the largest movie franchises in history and see the vastness and the reach and people from all walks of life, how they all kind of celebrate not only the character but the franchise. So thank you guys for that. And you never know when we do this who you're gonna meet that's gonna change your life as well, like a fan or whatever. And there was one time I was doing my show Young and Hungry, and I got a DM from this. I read every message I get on Instagram. I got a DM from this young girl, and she said, Jonathan, my name's Megan Bug. I'm 14 years old. I live in the outskirts of Chicago. I'm battling stage 4 cancer, and I just want to let you know that what your show means to me and how it makes me forget about my problems for a little bit. And I was like, whoa. So I replied back to her and I said, Megan, I want to let you know that you just inspired me. Keep fighting the good fight, whatever. So a couple months later, she hits me up and she said, so I want to use my Make-A-Wish to come see one of your tapings for Young and Hungry. And she goes, here are my dates. And I looked at the calendar and we weren't going to be shooting when she wanted to come out. So I go, all right, how do I make this right? And I go, I got it. So I sent her a video and I said, Megan, just so you know, I thank you so much for wanting to use your wish to come and see the show we're shooting. Unfortunately, it's not going to work. Our production's going to be wrapped by the time you want to do it. I'm sorry. And then I sent her another video and I said, so I'm going to fly you and your family out to LA next week. I'm getting really choked up right here. I said, I'm going to fly you and your family out to LA next week. So I flew them out. I gave them like makeovers in the hair and makeup trailer. I gave her like clothes from the show. She proceeds to be like my little sister. Changed my life. She passed away a year ago. And, but it's just like, you know, what he says, it's not, a lot of times, you know, there's this misconception that you're coming here to meet us. And that's not the way art works. It's a transaction. It's a two-way street. So as much as you're coming here to meet us, we're coming here to meet you guys as well. So thank you for that.
Guys, give it up.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much for coming out. We're all horror fans, and it's absolutely honored to be here. So thank you, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So much fun.
So much fun. This is fun, y'all.
All right.
All right.
Is it hot in here or is it Derek?
Look at my stupid hand. Why is this here?
One more. Oh, my nipple parts.
All right.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Really.
Okay, guys, thank you so much. Thank you.